Get rid of that. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all know how we do every Sunday from 6 to 8 p.m. We bring you the Northwest Austin Council. You know, a couple West Side people talking some West Side things. Got a treat tonight, man, because we ain't been joined by the congressman in a while. So the congressman is going to stop through. But as you know, there's been a lot happening at the highest level of government, from finding documents in Biden's office now to the Republican Speaker of the House that had to take 15 votes to get him in, to everything else in between. Yeah. We got the congressman who's going to talk about it. Not to mention, we done passed this, 2-year anniversary of the insurrection. Oh, man. And then tomorrow we got Martin Luther King Day. You know what I mean? A day of service. So I heard you, Rev Wright, talking about some of the things your church got going on. And I think everybody within that's able to listen tonight should have Dr. King on their mind, should have some sort of service initiative that they may want to undertake. You know what I mean? Because it's always good to give back to other people and do for somebody outside of yourself, because that is the way that things get done sometimes. As the congressman was saying today when he endorsed a couple candidates for office, you know, if he could get paid for all the things he did for free, he'd be very well wealthy, and we all would. So, looking forward to that Martin Luther King Day celebration tomorrow. So hopefully, I see one of the candidates that was endorsed today online, but hopefully she'll be in studio so we can talk to her a little bit more, actually learn a little bit more about her. So we just gonna act like she's not here until she get here in studio. But beyond all that, listen, like I say, I always like to start it up by going straight to Steve and say, man, what you got going on, Steve?
Oh yeah, we getting in the thick of it, as we say. It's again a political time for all. Seems like we always in political season.
Every 2 years, ain't it?
Yeah, it seems like every 6 months. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
We had something back in June. We had something in November. Here we go coming in February.
Yeah.
So it's almost every 3, 4, 5 months.
Yeah.
But we had a pretty good day today. We started off with Congressman Danny K. Davis and Alderman Emma Miss, endorsing 3 candidates for the ECPS, Empowering Communities for Public Safety Initiative, which they will be considered as council people.
I say I would be accepting of counselor, but I know isn't that typically like a legal jargon?
Yeah. You can't say counselor. No. Okay. They would be council because it's a group. It's a group of people that create this council.
The council people,
council person, or
because councilman. Council, yeah, I suppose. I was gonna say the alderman kept calling us commissioners.
Yeah, because actually that's not it.
But we know the commissioners are the next level.
Right. Yeah. Right. So she got a little bit, but yeah, that
council people, I guess. I don't know, man.
Council person.
I would like to have a cool little title, cool little name to go with it to make it easier for people to remember.
The whole name is pretty long,
Yeah, councilman, I suppose. Yeah.
No, I'm saying Empowering Communities for Public Safety, councilman. Yeah. So I mean, they need to eat what ECPS councilman.
ECPS councilman. Yeah,
that's about the job. Man, we had a couple what do you call them? What is it? Newspapers out there, or
we had the local paper. We had the Austin Talks. We had the Austin Voice, the Austin Weekly, and what I'm going to do is take the video and images from today. I'm going to send it out to the local media, the other local media, so, WGN. Because we already, they work for them. All they would have to do is go in and chop it up, take the parts that they want to use.
Absolutely.
And, just spread the message. They already had a press release. They just didn't want to show up. I guess we too small for
them. Well, small now, and then later they won't be able to see because you'll be in the clouds, But also we had candidate for 29th Ward, C.D. Johnson, automatic candidate for the 29th Ward, C.D. Johnson, that came in, and he came to give his support and endorsement also to the group, which included Elise Edwards from the
11th district,
which is pretty much, what's that? What ward? There's a few wards.
11 would run in 27,
24.
Yeah, so no, it wouldn't be. Yeah, it would be 27. It's 27, 24, 37.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 27, 24, 37.
That's it.
Yeah.
Not okay. It wouldn't include Walter Burnett.
Yeah, 24.
He's
27. He's 27, 24, Scott, and then 37 is Mitch.
And also, Urban, Alderman Urban. That's part of 11th district, which his ward is the 28. So it's
yes. You said it right. And Alderman Urban, yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean they jump all over the place.
Yeah.
Then you had Angelica Green, which is running in the 25th district.
Yeah, which is the largest police district. If not the largest, maybe the second or third largest, and that encompasses 7 wards.
Yeah,
seven or 9.
Yeah,
I want to say it's
quite a few wards.
Yeah,
trust me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So she got to make nights with a lot of people.
You talking about 2 wards in the Austin area, and then another 4 or 5 in north of us. But and here she comes now. So
okay. We got the ladies. I said last week we had a lot of male energy in here, so we had to bring some divine feminine energy. They just so happen to be going to be council persons
in the room. You don't have it.
I might switch to you. You know what? I just want to check real quick. Check on sound. Y'all can't hear us good, right?
Yes. Testing 1 2 1 2. Can you hear us?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, cool.
All right, great.
Oh shit.
But it's about to get, like we say, hyper speed. There's pretty much less than 48 days left. Early voting or something.
Yeah.
Hold on, it's coming up super fast. Just say that.
Yeah. What else they got going on though, Steve? You heard anything good in the community?
Let me think. I've been so enthralled in what's going on
in the
races and what's going on, all over the ward and the city, pretty much. Let me think about that. There are quite a few debates coming up for the mayoral seat, but one of them will be actually. Let me just say that right now. Let me get that one out because that's coming up really soon. Let me see 1 second.
You know what's interesting? Let's get some convo going. So, as I was out here doing my thing today, I was doing some door knocking. One of the homes I went to talked about this experiment that has gone awry. He said, I asked him if he had any idea of who he may be voting for as it related to the mayor. And he said, not a Democrat. And I was like, that's interesting, And he said, listen, man, this experiment has failed. For the past 60 years, we've gone and we voted Democrat. And look at the way the communities look. They're not getting any better. And he thinks that there's time that we look at the way we do politics. So that was interesting to me. And, I stayed engaged in a little bit. But as it relates to the individuals that's on the call now, let's just go ahead and open up the dialogue to talk about that. Like, what do you think about the community? And what do you think about the party as it relates to what we've been accustomed to? Do you think that 60 years of the same party has put us in this position? Or is it the tug and pull between parties that have put us in this position? What y'all think? Talk to me.
And who said this? Who stated this?
This was on Midway Park. I was in the Austin community on Midway Park, one of the people over there.
Well, let me just jump in because I don't think we've ever had one party all consistent. You know, Illinois has always been a Republican state up until Blagojevich. You know, we were considered a staunch Republican state. We've always had Republican governors, and they didn't just get in because the rest of the state voted them in. I'm sure it was a collaboration of the city and the whole state. So, you know, were we purple? We weren't even considered purple. It was just a Republican state with a Democratic major city. That's the way it was always known. So when you say Democratic Party for 60 years, it's kind of hard to say that because a lot of places were totally, you know, the state and the major cities like that.
Yeah.
And to say it was on the Democratic Party is the reason why we like this. I don't know. I think it was be more or less the tug of war back and forth. Because if you look at the history for the last 60 years, we've had probably more Republican presidents of the United States than we've had Democratic presidents in the last 60 years. Now, how Congress was back then, if I'm not mistaken, they were more whatever the president was, the Congress was pretty much, you know, set up to
okay. But beyond that, right? Because on a national level, we recognize though that there are two different parties and they are usually at odds. But we always say all politics are local. So who's to blame for the situation? Because if you were to ask the people that's going to vote for alderman and or mayor, they're going to say it is the direct result of the leadership of said mayor and or alderman is the reason why things look the way they look. There's a lot of people who will say, I'm not voting for XYZ because they've had this ward for 20 years and look at it. Because we all believe politics are local. So is it the fact that we have ineptitude at the local level, or we have infighting or disagreements across party lines at the federal level that is a direct result or a correlation to what it looks like out here today?
Let's address the issue of the local level. So if you look at the wards where you say nothing's, you know, the aldermen haven't done anything in those wards for X amount of years. Well, look at the wards where the aldermen have. The wards look good. And they're Democratic aldermen. I'm gonna tell you what the nitty gritty is. It ain't got nothing to do whether you Democrat or Republican. The majority of it is based on if you white, you're gonna get what's right. I mean, that's it. That's all. You can't really put it to that.
All right. So now that first of all, can I get some of y'all responses over here that's checking in? What y'all thoughts about it is? Talk to us.
Can I go, Councilman?
Yes, sir. I like that, sir.
So, my name is Craig Morley, and I think that, you know, I'm a diehard Democrat, you know, all day, every day. But I think that we experienced that. You know, we got folks who say, you know, I'm not going to vote for a Democrat because, you know, they haven't done anything, so I'm going to vote for a Republican or switch to the other side. And I think that, I know that we had that opportunity when Bruce Rowland was our governor.
Oh, yeah, he was terrible.
He beat Pat Quinn hands down. His whole slogan was take up Springfield, and, you know, he's an angel and all that good stuff. And sure enough, when he became governor, you know, everything, you know, went downhill. And I think folks did the same thing with Trump, with, you know, running for president. They didn't want Hillary, you know, to be president, you know, get all that good stuff. But, you know, I think that, you know, it's very important to have differences, but not to the point to where, you know, nothing can get done. And I think that we have Republicans get it done. I think the best way, I know the best way is making sure that we have Democrats elected up and down the ticket, up and down the state, up and down the country. But you'll never see one way vote for the other side, Republican, because I know, there's no way you can fool me to vote for you. And I know that the policies that you're making, the policies that you're putting on the table, hell, I'm not even at the table when you fucking make decisions on behalf of me and my community. So there's no way that, you can get me to vote for a Republican. That's the way to keep Democrats.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Appreciate that, Claiborne. I hear you. Any other thoughts about that? How y'all feeling? And I don't necessarily. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that politicians are politicians, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, and I don't see a difference.
I receive that. So,
yeah. But let me say this.
Yeah.
Trump has brought in new stuff now. I mean, like he brought in like it's okay to laugh, and you see what happened when they got Santos.
Oh no! Come on, man.
Lots more of that.
Now that right there is a slap in the face, man. That man in his election is a slap in the face to this nation. He is one of the reasons why America will look like the laughingstock as it relates to our politics. Because that is terrible that you could do that much lying and be in a position to make legislation for people's lives. That don't even make sense, man. It's like, come on, y'all. Like, come on, man. I got to get on my booster. Come on, man. Come on, man. Like, no. That guy right there.
But is it shocking? Is it shocking?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's stupid.
But it's a reflection of what Trump started or exposed himself to. I mean, it's not shocking to me. What's shocking is they're letting it go on.
Yeah, that's shocking. That is shocking, yeah.
And they're using the fact that, the people put them in and the people, really? Or were the people deceived? It's kind of odd what Change said when he said, there's no difference. I mean, I see a little difference. I'm like, a big difference, actually. It's like you get bit by a dog. You get bit by a little dog or you get bit by a big dog. Which one gonna hurt the worst?
Depends on who got raised.
Okay, so look, all right, I hear that, right? Boom. So here's the other flip side of it, though. Now you said it's mostly the white people, their communities look best. I almost want to argue, and I don't know if this will be true or not because we haven't seen it yet. I'd almost argue that the fact that they turn out and vote is the reason why their communities look the way it looks. Because politics are all about numbers. So the numbers show that you're going to give me this job, right? Like now I recognize anybody that takes up this position to be a public servant should be going forth to serve the people and not consider this a job. But this is your job. And you're coming in front of these people, these forums and the things that these are interviews. Our history is a resume, right? And so these people know that I can count on you to get me a job. So I have to do something for you in return, right? And so they're going to make sure they keep that job and they're going to make sure that they continue to hold whatever power comes with it. And so for me, I'm almost like, I want to see what the result will be for my community if 10, 20,000 people came out and voted. How serious will we have to be taken then? Because we're getting people jobs. That reaches a national level. Wasn't not too long ago, Danny received honors for being his district, 7th district, being one of the highest voting districts across the nation. That wasn't none but maybe 2 elections ago. Right? So things like that, they looking at Danny like, oh, hold on now, your people out there voting. Hey, we found a few more $1 million for y'all. You know what I mean? So it's like, is it the people or is it really the people, us? Is it the people that's representing us or is it us that's not really doing our job?
Well,
it's our own that's not doing their job. Because I just saying, prime example, I know y'all remember this. When Carruthers went to jail for that project over there off of Austin, that building supposed to be built and made, well, funny money or whatever. And the aldermen are getting too corrupt. That's why nothing gets done. They get paid off for little pennies for projects, and they forget about the community. They get their little pocket change and forget what they were voted for. Like Prime Minister, Deborah Graham, all of them brothers. There's so many of them that in that civil war that didn't do what they were supposed to do. They all got paid off and forgot about what they got to do. There's too many just taking the money and run and not thinking about why they got it in the first place. It's like you do nothing to not corrupt.
Yeah. To your point, she didn't do anything corrupt, but the first part you were right about. She didn't do nothing.
Yeah. That was a little bit before my time. That was before I really got interested in politics and really had to learn about it. But from what I've always heard, that there wasn't much done when she was leading this war. And so people were so upset. That how many people ran against her that one day?
17.
17 people?
17, then it narrowed down to 15. And
Jesus
yeah.
Christ. Yeah, you got to be, Hey, you got to be doing a hell of a job.
She overcame that first when she was running to keep her seat, and I'm defending her.
Okay.
Because I worked for her, and I was in her office working. So I know doggone well I wasn't sitting in her office not working. So the first election to keep her retained in her seat, she did have a lot of people run against her because they thought it was an open seat. So no, she was retained.
Okay.
And the second go round, in that Galewood area, thought that they can do better. And that's why Teleferro's in there. And now look down. Teleferro's being challenged. And it appears that, the momentum that he had, run up against Deborah Graham, it don't seem like he got it no more. So, there you have it.
Okay. Well, I don't know if the Galewood ever thought they could do better. Because the people that got Teleferro in there, the majority of them came from the lower Austin area. I mean, 90% of the people came from the only two people that came from Galewood that promoted Chris. Well, it was only one. It's gonna be me. I was the only one. And I represent all of Austin. I don't even, I'm in Austin more than I am in my own house. Every day for the last 30-some years. But no, that's a big misunderstanding. It wasn't so much that. It was everybody. There was the majority of people in the Austin area that really fought to get them in there. There were 3 candidates from Galewood, myself included. But the other candidates, I don't think that was the point. The other 2 candidates from Galewood, to tell you the truth, because I live in Galewood, it was because they wanted them because they were white and they were from Galewood. That was it. And they would have preferred that. And the other people ended up getting Teleferro because they thought his name was what it was. They thought it was,
I agree.
But other than that, it wasn't so much as, we could do better because they didn't even know what they were getting better. Look, I ran, and I tell everybody, if you can't win your block, you ain't winning nothing.
Right.
I've been on my block 30 years, and guess what? All the people on my block, my kids grew up, grew up with their kids. Hey, can I get a vote from you? Well, I'm not really, considering that. Oh, really? Oh, okay. All right.
It's rough.
But see, the difference is, because I was in Galewood too, with you, I was living in Galewood every before I moved out here. The difference is, them white people was involved. Them white people at the churches, I was going to the meetings. because I was in Gilwood when before they split it off from Stafford Graham to him when it was all one. And believe me, them white people was complaining. They was going to the meeting. I was there compared to how we were doing on the in the other area by Central and Lake and all. It was like two different things across North Avenue, one way and the other way. It's like two different set of people. Them white people was like on their stuff.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Like we are one of the few wards that do participatory budgeting in the 29th ward. And even when it comes to getting special projects done with some of the participatory budgeting monies, the Galewood area wins and gets their projects considered over some of the southern parts of the 29th ward because they come out and vote. So going back to my original question, I understand the leadership aspect of the political position. Number one, you got to give the people something to want to vote for, right? But the people got to do their job too, though. They got to come and show that it's not because it's not just about you voting for this one particular time. It's about you showing that you have the capability of understanding this process and you're a part of it because you want something greater, not only for yourself, but your family and your community. And all of that has to be represented. And it is represented when you hit that ballot, when you cast that vote.
It's a myriad of things, It's how the people are voting, where the population of people are voting from, what the color of the skin of those people look like that are voting, and how you connect it to the color of the skin of the people that's up the chain. And see, everybody talk about Galewood. I'm gonna tell you again, you ain't gonna know it till you live there, because it's a whole different animal. Galewood at one point I thought went all the way down to Central, North Avenue down to Central. Now it's like, oh no, that's not really Galewood. That's east of Austin. I'm like, really? And you got the black side of Galewood, which could be from Central all the way to Oak Park Avenue, and then it switches again. There I would still say predominantly white, but it's probably 20% black on the west of Oak Park Avenue.
Yeah.
And again, there's only been, prior to Telephone, there was only 2 aldermen there for 50 years almost. Literally, we had Marina and we had Banks, Alderman Banks. Banks had almost 30 years. Marina had like 20 years, or so. And they did what they did, but they were connected. They were connected up the chain with other people that looked like them, that made things happen in the war. I mean, just to show you like the difference in the war. Now, I got a building right there in Austin, right off Austin Boulevard. Somebody dropped a car behind there, a stolen car, took the wheels off the car, sat there for a month or so. I called every day, other nail neighbors in the middle of the alley. The garbage truck had to literally squeeze through every time it picked up trash to get through. Then the owner decided, obviously, I don't think the owner was of our persuasion, because all of a sudden when he found out where the car was, he threw a match on it. And then what does that do? It damaged my garage. It damaged the other neighbor's garage. Now this is at my apartment building. And I'm wondering, why did it take all of that, a month or so, for them to come in, the car get torched, for them to come and remove the car? Now, same thing happened in Galewood behind my house. I'm on my way to work. I see a car dropped in the alley. I'm like, whoa, somebody stole the car and dropped in the alley. Before I called home at lunchtime, that car was removed that same day. Now, how is that? Is it because the aldermen are more connected and they're white? Because definitely one, I think Ike might have been an alderman. Yeah, I think he was an alderman when the car got dropped in Austin area. But again, it's all the above. It's a bunch of stuff. It's who you are, what you look like, who the people are you have taken care of, and what they look like, and it makes a I want to say a great amount of difference on how you gonna get your stuff served. Service. Any comments for the individuals out there in the network?
See, there was old white money. There's old white money over in the Gilwood community. You know, it's a whole bunch of Italians and folks. That's what it's them. There's a lot of connected people up over there. You know, it's just well right.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's what a lot of them have to do with. A lot of them connected today. So
of course, there was a lot. There's a lot of connection. I mean, I was just telling the story about one of my neighbors. She's been in the same house for 89 years. She was born in the house. She ended up moving out, I guess, when she got married, but then she ended up buying the house back from her parents and living in it and having her family there. And she's still there today. She's probably the oldest person on the block now, but you know, they got roots, you know. And you're right. It was majority Italian, some German. I don't know about a lot of Polish people. I don't see a lot of Polish. No. It's German, Italians, some Greeks. Greeks sprinkled here and there. But again, how is it for 50 years two aldermen kept that ward the same and solid? You know, that's what everybody really wanted from Gilwood. They were like, you know, whoever the alderman is, we just don't want quality of our services to change. And have they changed? I want to say probably not. I mean, my trash gets picked up normal. I got garbage cans. I mean, we getting rodents and rats all over the place, but you know, they tell me that's all over the city now.
It's definitely all over the city.
But that's about the only thing I've seen in 30 years. We're getting all these doggone rats that's running through the alley, but you know, we see everything else: rabbits, raccoons, possums, and skunks, and coyotes, and everything else running around. So
Coyotes.
No, it's the politics is what you say. Kin folks and skin folks.
All skin.
Who is that? That must be Barry. Who is that making all that noise? But I think the politics is all based on skin folks. I mean, Talaferro, everybody's Talaferro, you know. It wasn't really the Gilwood people. They probably helped a lot because they saw the name and they were like, oh yeah, we're going with this guy. Because let me tell you, I talk to people, they don't even know who Talaferro is. A lot of my neighbors always come to me, Steve, can you go down there and talk to your guy? I'm like, really? Okay. He's right there down the street. I'm the same distance from him as you are. You go talk to him. Make it happen. Wait a minute. Who is this? Somebody is gone.
I got it. All right. Okay. All right. Sorry, y'all. We were bringing in the ladies. They've been sitting out there for 30 minutes like they was jumping double dutch. Like, when do we come in? I'm real. If y'all don't just come in the studio, like, what are y'all doing, man?
Right, because we're going to have to do rotation soon.
Man, like, what the heck? Listen, so Kim said a bit earlier in the chat, she said essentially the politicians that we have been elected, they've been taking advantage of the position and they are working the position to their favor. If they get some out of it, then that's what they call winning, and that's super sad. And I think that speaks to one of the things that was brought up by Barbara when you talked about Ike and the corruption that he experienced. Again, Deborah didn't have anything on her jacket in terms of corruption. It's just people weren't satisfied with the way she was leading. One of the things about that leading, though, and I'll talk about this extensively being one of the reasons why a lot of aldermen and other electeds fail, the staff. And Claiborne, you brought up the fact that you were a part of the staff for Deborah Graham. Well, he said he worked with her. Well, my bad. Maybe was it staff or did you just work with her, Claiborne?
I was in and
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so to me, it's like, and it's like these people get in these positions, and the first thing they do is look at it like what they can do for their cousins, their barbers, their dry cleaners, their baby mama. What can we extract from this to benefit our personal situation, and then think about the people that actually put us there. And the reason that I say this is because how many aldermen, whatever, in the last 6 months have we seen brought up on charges for this, brought up on charges for that? And then it was just, I don't remember her name, she was in jail for getting together with contracts or something. It's what that was working on her house. It's like, y'all gotta take the personal out of it and stop thinking about what you can get in out of it. The people that matter, the people that need it. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
Like I said, I'm not sure the woman who went to jail and it was all over the news because he got some contractors to work on her house.
That would be, I don't know if she went to jail yet, but that would be Carrie Austin, I believe, 34th Ward.
I'm sorry. Well, she went to court. Excuse me.
Yeah.
The pictures they showed she was coming out of court, and I'm just kind of like,
again, another one. BJ Cali, another one. Another one. Every time you turn around, another one.
Absolutely.
Anyway, you're right, Kim. So I got the ladies to get thing for the ladies. First of all, we can't see you, Elise. Y'all, they're here for the ladies. Got a little feminine energy. So why don't y'all introduce yourselves? These two ladies and myself today were endorsed by Congressman Danny Davis as well as Alderman Emma Mitz for our respective districts. I'm District 15, and y'all can introduce yourselves and join our conversation tonight. I do see you on the line too, CB, so man, please pipe in, man. Let people know, you're the next alderman of the 29th Ward and what you hope to provide. And, there is some questions about leadership that's been going around. I want you to pipe in anytime you feel like you want to let people know what type of leader you're going to be. But ladies, go ahead.
Yeah.
I got you, CB.
I'm already there.
Okay, man. Okay, yeah. We finna have a show then. Ladies, come on, y'all.
And I am Elise Edwards. I'm running for the 11th Police District Council.
Okay. So let me ask y'all a question here. As it relates to elected, what are y'all looking for in terms of elected officials? Because y'all was kind of out there. Y'all were hearing some of the things that was said about, Democrat versus Republican, the voting process, people not engaging in voting, bad leadership, all type of things, man. What is just to rephrase my question, what are just y'all thoughts in general about the elected process? Now that y'all first-time candidates are actually about to go through this, what are y'all thoughts about some of the things that was already shared?
That is a really tough question. It's a loaded question, so let me say that. Something I'm specifically looking forward to, something that we're working on with Westside Rising is an increase of voters. That's number one. So we're hitting the ground. And our goal is to get more people out there to vote, period. So, I am looking for some awareness. Yep. And I'm also looking forward to some people doing more. I am looking for our elected officials. To me, there's some, a lack of transparency. We see it all the time where people start off well. They have, good intentions, they have promises, things in which, they say in which they're going to do. But then when they get in office, things sort of switch. They do, the bait and switch, and, things are different. You know, for me, I am looking forward to all of us really standing up in the moment in which we see, you know, a candidate who has now been elected go a different way in which they have promised as far as their campaign, you know, for all of us to really stand up and make noise. And that's not what we've been doing. We like give them a chance, you know, their first 90 days or, you know, things of that nature. But if we were to stick, you know, to our guns and hold them accountable in the beginning, put a lot of pressure as a community, I think that we would help shape the leadership that we're looking for, because then they'll know. I think also what happens is sometimes people get away with things, and the more things that they get away with, the more things they, you know, they continue to enter into. So, you know, if you stop them from the beginning, then really you're creating a better, you know, I don't know, West Side, whatever we're looking for, Chicago. So the consistency.
Better Chicago.
Better Chicago. We have to shape our leadership with the noise in which we make. That's what
I like that. That's a bar. That's a bar. We have to shape our leadership with the noise that we make. That's a bar. What about you?
For me, it's different. Gilwood, Austin, Belmont, Reagan, Humboldt Park are some of the areas that are in the 25th district. So depending on who you ask, you may get a different response. So if you go in Austin, you want more police accountability. You want more change. You want to see better in your community as far as looks, crime to be lower. You go in Galewood, some of the houses I knocked on today, someone was afraid they'll have to move out of their home because they didn't want anything to change. They don't want change. They're happy, things are good. They want more police. They don't feel like police should be held accountable. So I think it's based off of where you are for my district. For me, I believe in public safety, and we need it across the board, and we need to put people in office that will be accountable. And when they go in and they run off of holding of one thing, that they stick to that, and we hold them to that.
So when we're talking about police district council, we're all just.
Well, our show is typically a conversation, so it's really just. We just want to hear y'all thoughts. Y'all always see, but y'all always politicking. I get it. I get it. Can't cut it off, man. We can't cut it off.
Today, what
we're looking forward to.
No, I actually was saying as y'all was sitting out there listening to the show, like what y'all thoughts about some of the things, you know. Sorry. Yeah.
I mean, I can't talk about the police district council, or if you want to just move on. What is it that you want? What's your next question, sir?
Man, it's a anywho. So
you're knocking on doors all day.
Yeah, they tired. They tired. They tired.
Fasting, praying, and DeAndre had us up here.
Hey man, look.
We working for the people. We working for our votes.
Let me say this though, for police district council. So specifically for the role in which I am running for, I can say what I'm mostly looking forward to is some unity. And yes, it is different in different areas. There's always going to be something that is some commonality between us all. I understand now why they broke things up clearly by the police district. The 11th district works completely different than the 15th, than the 25th. We're all different. We have different challenges, but then, you know, we all still suffer the exact same thing. Even if certain people say that they want things to be the same, you probably knock a few doors down and they will want some things to be changed. So
that's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happened. What I am looking forward to with this police district council is for us not to dismiss others' experiences. I have an experience. I don't want you to poop on that experience. My experience for me is legitimate. You know, you can meet one person and you can meet two different sides of that one person. You know, DeAndre will have a different experience than Elise will have that experience. So don't dismiss DeAndre's experience and don't dismiss Elise's experience. But what we can do is get together and say, okay, well, that's not been my experience, but because you have had that experience, let's talk to more people and see what's out there. And then let's all come together and just, you know, really try to, you know, address the most, I won't even say pressing issues. I think that we have to maybe categorize things. Issues that are definitely, you know, keeping people in danger, keeping us, you know, held back, things like that. But then, you know, what are some of the issues that are structurally that we could do that may take a little bit longer to address, but we could do if we did that, it would open the floodgates. Like we would experience so much, freedom. It's probably not the right word. We would have a different experience with, our Chicago Police Department leadership and things of that nature. So I'm looking forward to, coming against really the structure or really restructuring, the, what they call it, the culture of CPD. That is why I ran. That is why I put my name in the hat and said, let's go for it, because I feel like we can if you make a change in the culture, you can make a change to everything. It changes everything.
But in order to make the change, you gotta get out and vote. I heard so many people saying that they did not vote and they were not involved in politics, not realizing that whether they vote or not, they are involved in politics. So what we have to do is push people to get out and vote.
Yes.
And can't say how important it is and how every vote matters. We push that, we say that, but oftentimes a lot of people won't vote. So we have to get people out to vote. We have to get cars. We have to go back. Martin Luther King Day is tomorrow. We have to go back to those days. Start carpooling, picking people up in vans and buses. I think our alderwoman mentioned like gathering people up today and getting them out. Yes.
Yeah. Kim, I see you got your hand up. You got a question? Who was that, Tony?
Moses, one got the cloud.
What's up, my boy?
Not much, man. Not much, man. So let me ask you guys a question, guys and ladies. Let me appropriate genders. So let me ask a question. So I know you guys are running for district council, right?
Correct.
Okay, and this is a police initiative, the whole police accountable for the things they do in their actions. And I think it is needed. So let me ask you a question. Now, I heard sister say you wanted to kind of reform the CPD, but my thing is there any program or protocols in place to reform the people? Because I'm going to say this. If I'm a cop, and one of my friends I went to school with, he's a good friend, I know him. He's a sergeant right now. And so, and he got spit, a black dude spit in his face before. So, it's like, when black people get pulled over, they tend to have an attitude with the authority off that. So they don't even give the cop a chance to be an asshole whole time. It's just, especially when, I don't say especially with some of the women, that's what you pulling me over for. That's, what I'm saying? They might not notice that, they didn't use a turn signal, and that is a reason to pull you over. You didn't use no turn signal. All right, cool. I get to mess with you now. I get to pull you over. You did something unlawful. So, I think we gotta not only be trained, because I'm gonna keep it 100. Most encounters I've had with the police has been good. And I'm a dark-skinned guy with face tattoos on his face and dreadlocks. So I fit the description of, some of the criminality in our community. So how do we get the public to ease off the cops? Don't give them a hard time. How do you get that message out? And is that part of the police district council?
So I'm going to say this to you. I forgot your name. Love your personality, though. Would love to meet you. My experience has been actually just like yours. So I'm not a young person. And my whole life, I've had great experience with Chicago Police Department, with Houston Police Department, and Detroit, so everywhere that I've gone, it has been positive. However, when I did have a bad experience, it was really bad. So, what we're not trying to solve for is the people who have great experiences. What we're trying to solve for are those really horrible experiences that last for, years on top of years. So I can say this, part of what Chicago Police Department is fighting is their reputation. So when you do pull someone over, there's a way in which you win people over. If you have constantly abused people, or there are recycled stories of people, getting the bad end of the stick. And it is passed down from mama to, to her daughter, on to, her granddaughter, and so on and so forth. And, you have now a whole family who's against police because of some experiences that they've had. You are not going to turn that around by when you pull them over and, they chop off at the gums, at you, and then you enforce power. You enforce, some other force that doesn't need to be there. What happens over time is that you have to restore your reputation. So it's for both. The community does need to ease up where needed, but there has to be some good faith effort on CPD's part, more than just showing up and taking a picture and putting it on, social media. What things are you actually doing to show that you are trying to have a better relationship, that you are coming down to other people's level? And I'm talking about for the high level CPD, because my story really is not about my beat officer. It's not about those lower ranking officers. It was a story of those who are in power, who abused that power just because they could. So, again, different experiences. I'm not going to dismiss yours. My hope is that no one would dismiss mine. We'll get together and say, you know what? It takes eggs, it takes flour, it takes sugar, it takes milk, it takes all of these things. These are ingredients to make a cake. And for us to have peace, we have to have your experience, we have to have my experience, your solution, her solution, and then we'll, have that perfect cake that we're looking for. And I'll pass it on to him.
Well, mine wasn't, he asked how do we reform the police? So mine has been similar to what you said. We have to have the community involved. You said it's a lot of bad community members or community doing crime too. I feel like we need both. There's no anti-police or against police. We are anti-police brutality. We are anti-racism. And there's a need in the community, and it's going to take both the police and the community to resolve it. So when someone's stealing the cars or someone robbing, I'm elderly, I'm not going to call the social worker. I'm definitely going to call CPD. And for myself personally, I have and we call CPD often. So, but we do have some officers that I would not want pulling over my black 19-year-old son or my 20-year-old daughter who's tall and black and they wear their afros because they're afraid or just because they don't like their skin. So, and they fit the profile. And I know they're good kids. So we do have a lot of those officers, and we have to get out of their minds that it's us against them and we bleed blue and it's a gang, it's us against the community. No, you are employed by the community. So if there's no community, there's no CPD. And we have to get that out of their mindset. It shouldn't be their gang against our gang. There's a need, we need to come together and we have to build trust and we have to determine how we build that trust.
Mm-hmm.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, and you know what? Also, I'll say just one thing is I think in order to really reform the police, it would be like I know it's gonna be 3 people that win, but somebody's going to have to be a person who actually works in the office. Like, you ain't gonna be able to change nothing. You know what I'm saying? Just by this. I don't have a meeting on Blue Power. I need to work inside this bad boy. I need to know, this how y'all do y'all schedules. This how y'all, somebody got to really get up in there so you could know the inner workings of how everything works. And I think that'll have a better impact. But yeah, no, yeah. I'm going to go for y'all. Everybody go for everybody.
You going to do 11 more. Let me say, can I say one thing? Is when he just said that part, well, go ahead then.
Well, no, I was going to actually, there's a question that was posed, and the question was, would you all be in favor of changing the current CPD superintendent, even though that's not in our technical jurisdiction, but would you all be in favor of changing the current CPD superintendent?
I would like for someone who's from Chicago, knowledgeable. I don't know. It's my understanding he's not from Chicago. He's not in the city.
Brown's from, where's she from?
Right. So
we're from the same state. Dallas also is different.
I mean, that wouldn't be in our. We wouldn't have the control to change the superintendent.
I'm gonna go back to the first thing because I just wanted to get this part off my chest. As far as being part of the Police District Council, it's always been my vision to actually work with police as well. Again, every officer is not bad. I have more good interactions with Chicago Police Department than I have bad. It's just that one bad experience has caused a lot of harm in my community. The one bad experience did a complete lockdown. So I can't really operate well in this role without knowing how Chicago Police Department actually operates on the inside. So we would need them. So just so you'll know as well, there's a very part-time job and none of us is going to be inside. All of us still have full-time jobs, but would I be in favor of superintendent, getting a new superintendent? I would not be against that at all.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah, same for me. The question then, it was a follow-up question, is would it matter? And I'll answer that, and then I'll bring CB into the conversation. So, yeah, it would. I think anybody who's a Chicagoan would rather prefer somebody that was homegrown be the leader of the entire police force, only because they understand the nuance of each and every community. There's 77 communities in the city of Chicago, and I might have this backwards. There's 127 neighborhoods within those communities. So each one of those are distinct, and we're talking about socioeconomic status, we're talking about crime level, we're talking about race, gender, opinion, and everything in between. And all of that matters in policing because it allows you to understand how to properly police said community. And so we have to get the right person that has knowledge of Chicago. And not only that, you gotta understand the political game here in Chicago. I mean, this is a beast. And it's difficult for anybody outside of it to think, and I would hate for them to come with the type of hubris that Superintendent Brown came with, that they could effectively lead this city without knowing everything there is to know about this city. Its history, its politics, its people. So yeah, it matters. CB?
Yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you. First of all, let me say I'm happy to be here with all these up and coming leaders, the leaders of today. I ain't gonna say tomorrow, the leaders of today. You know, and they're here, and I think they're gonna do a great job. You know, myself and Brother Steve and Arnold and all of us have been out on the front line a long time. But I'd rather be an elder statesman than a bleeding deacon. and support you guys as we get forward. However, there's some things we need to clean up and some things we need to do in the community before we hand it to you guys, and you guys can have a clean slate to work with.
Let's get into that. So what does that entail? Because I'm gonna say this. So for younger leaders, us that are coming up, and you got some younger folk on the phone that I'm sure gonna engage with you because they don't believe in the political process like that. And mostly it's because of what we've experienced in our, especially adult life, because as when we were younger, this is just where we lived and where we played. We didn't think about the ramifications of the political aspect of it, the people that are actually stewarding our communities. But as we've gotten older, we have kids now, we're looking to purchase homes, and we see trash all out on the west side and all of the other issues that other communities, more affluent communities, don't face. We like, why am I getting involved?
Well,
so what's the issues to you, brother?
Well, first of all, let me say this.
Yeah.
It's no different than it was when we was coming up. We said the same thing. Trust me, we did. I mean, when we was playing baseball and doing the little things we had to do to make our way in the community, we saw a lot of this happening, a lot of this stuff going on too.
Right.
It didn't just all of a sudden just start happening. However, at some point you have to decide, do I get in the game or do I stay on the sideline? If I see some paper, I have to pick it up. It's my community too. You know, I got to get my rake and broom and get out here and do some things. And I think our community is based rather on attraction than promotion. We have to get out here and show that we doing, and then people will get involved. And that's how I got led to this. You know, it was something like I was telling the story earlier when Miss Leola Span sitting at this long table and all these people sitting at this table, and they was looking for somebody to head up the drug-free West Side. And she said, let him do it.
Mhm.
And I'm looking like, who? I'm looking around trying to see was it someone else because I couldn't believe that they was asking me to take on a role like that. And here it is, all these years later, I understood that was something for me to do. It was what I needed to do, what I had to do, because I had been in this community so long. It was based on having relationships with people, knowing people, knowing the community, knowing who's who and what's what, and not being afraid of them, embracing them because I knew them from when we was kids, playing ball, hanging out, going places. I used to work in the most popular restaurant on the west side when we was growing up. It used to be called End of the Line. It was at Madison and Austin. And I met and knew everybody. I learned what I needed to know. I knew the police. I knew a lot of the police officers because they always had a policy that police got their food half price and all their drinks free. And police always like a free meal. So they came in all the time. So I got to know them on a name basis, and they got to know me. If they saw me on the street, they would stop and speak to me. I would speak to them. It was no problem. Like now, most people don't want to be seen talking to the police. You know, but someone said earlier, it's good when it's bad ones. You know, all of them not bad. But I think having you guys there on watch, you all can come up with some solutions and see some things because everybody don't know everything. Well, they don't know what's all right. You know, some people doing wrong don't even know they doing wrong. Because, you know, it's one thing to not know something, but it's another thing to not know you don't know something and act like you do. That's a problem.
How that saying go? How does it go? It says it's better to let people assume you're a fool than to open your mouth
and erase all doubt.
Erase all doubt.
My parents told me that.
Yeah.
You know, and I can remember being told, and this is what my community love and caring come from, you know, being told, you know, you have to protect your community. You have to do something in your community. You have to show people, because let me tell you, if you notice people, a lot of people doing the same thing in different ways, but they doing the same thing. But you have to show them that they can be an individual. It's okay. You don't have to do what everybody else do. You know, and I just tell you, I am so proud to see you guys as committed. When I'm riding down the street, I'm seeing DeAndre sign. You know, I wanted to get up and get one, take one out of the ground, but I would hate somebody to put me on film saying, somebody had me on film saying, look, he running for all of it. Take the signs, you know, so
somebody taking them up, man.
But I'm getting one of them signs, bro. I'm getting one of them signs.
You well known already, man.
But I'm taking it to put it in my yard. Because I support this brother. You know, so.
All right, y'all. So listen, we got CB here. We got the ladies here. We got individuals that are talking about police accountability and what these district councils going to look like. CB, he's going to be the next alderman for the 29th ward. Let's continue with some conversation. I want to bring y'all in though. So what y'all want to talk about over here on the Zoom? Talk to me. All right, y'all don't talk about nothing. Okay, they don't want to talk about nothing. So
can you hear us? Are you guys there?
Hey, I just want to say hi to CB. I was on his first campaign when he ran to the Barbara. I was on his committee. Glad to see you running again. I don't have it all in this type this time around in the suburbs, but I'm still there to help you. Whatever you need.
Thank you. And tell Cal I said hi. Tell Cal I said hi.
I will.
All right, thank you.
So when you think about, let's just nail the two together because crime doesn't have a zip code. And this year, in the last couple of years, crime has spiked considerably in all of the communities. And in fact, it's even going over west into Oak Park and become a little bit more pronounced over there. And so with the new district councils coming in, you know, the police are even more scrutinized than ever before. And in a lot of ways, they get a lot of criticism from the public, the media, and the politicians. as in regards to the job that they've been doing, and now they have to face this new district council. So, but we have rising crime. And somebody got to fix the rising crime. So what's your thoughts? And this could be for anybody and everybody. So what are the thoughts of how does a new position like this, which again is going to further scrutinize the police, work with the rising crime levels? How are we going to be able to effectively do the work that we're supposed to do and holding them accountable while also expecting them to combat increasing crime and making it much more difficult for them to do so?
You saying them doing their job and that's doing your job. So now they have a larger academy, people being more present. Yes, I know crime is going up, car theft, robbery, things of that nature, but it's still their job. So whatever it is, if they need to get out there on bikes, depending on what area you're in, what neighborhood, yeah, Lincoln Park, the crime is going up, but we need to ask for an increase, whatever that is. Hey, come sit on my block. I know some people don't want police at all. They want to police themselves. I do not agree with that. I want the police to police me. And if they do something wrong in my community, I want them to be held accountable for it, but do it respectfully. Treat people with dignity. Come to people's neighborhood and you treat them like you would treat your own family members. Because your family members are community members. So when you come with respect. Don't come with an attitude like that you're doing them no favor. Come like you work for these people because you work for the community. And when we get that understanding, I think it'll be it'll be better. It'll run a little bit more smooth. And the community maybe will pitch in more because the community has to make calls. You can't have someone committing a crime and you know they're in your back room. Call the police. Use the 911 app. Use the 311 app. Do not let these people commit these crimes, your grandkids or your aunts, uncles, and then you just don't say nothing about it. They somewhere, lay it up on your couch. It's a two-way street. Everybody has a part and we have to play.
So I feel like just to the last point, don't let your children commit crime. I know that sometimes people shy away from like stepping up and saying who did what because they feel like the system is unfair and they won't get a fair trial, and they'll be forever damaged, or it'll be deeper. So I feel like things are just so much deeper than what we see here. I can say to answer the question that you were asking, DeAndre, that police need to work with the community and show up in the community how that community wants them to show up. That's how you actually bring about change. It is going to be different from each community. There are different ways in which, like they say, you skin a cat, but there is definitely a way in which you do it. Don't use the old antiquated ways that you feel, this is what we did back in 1960. It's not working now. We have a whole new set of people, set of rules. There are different strategies out there on the streets. So we need to match that. I do believe in, some people don't love it, but as we do have a shortage of actually manpower, what's wrong with technology? You know what I mean? Like, so what's wrong with using? What she's
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, that's all I'm saying is, use technology to our advantage. We don't want to be over technology or, watched, but again, working with the community to figure out how we can use, certain technology systems, strategies to help fight the crime that we're seeing.
All the cameras that the city put out, like it's a reimbursement program where the city, a lot of people don't want it because they feel as if it's invasion of their privacy, and I understand that too. But I also feel like if it's going to help with some crimes, because on our block, we will call each other like, hey, is this your car? Your trunk is open or someone's out. So utilizing those cameras, if the city puts something out there where we can utilize them and get the information on it, because a lot of people think that they can just come and get the camera and they don't have to ask. But it's a series of things that they have to go through. So if you agree to those cameras, they do not have access to just take those cameras or whatever's on those cameras without you signing off. They don't have the permission to do so. So just getting the information out there as to what tools are available for us and utilizing them, having someone educate the community on
Why don't they
it.
buy their own camera?
Maybe everybody can hold cameras. So, but they do have cameras for where it's a reimbursement. So if they, yeah, so everybody can hold cameras. If we utilize the community.
Community. I mean, you got cameras for $50. You screw in the light socket.
Yeah, that's a fact.
We have a lot of seniors. We have a lot of seniors. They're retired. Some people live by themselves. Some of their loved ones don't come visit. So it's depending on who it is, who the audience is. Everybody don't have that.
So that's when we have to do fundraisers and things like that to help them. Community is more than just living on the block. It's about being in touch, connecting, talking to people, doing things, doing the things that have to be done. That's what a community is in my mind. You know, and to your other question, it's simple. People, if you're not doing nothing wrong, then you ain't got to worry about this new group coming in. If you're doing the right thing, there's no problem. See, life is not complicated. People are. People tend to make things more complicated than what it should be. You know, life is simple. You do what you're supposed to do, you have no problem. Now, if something falls in your way and become a problem and cause a problem, that's when you get the police involved. But most of the time, if you're doing the things you're supposed to be doing and people are working together and sticking together, it lessens the opportunity of something happening. That's why we have to come together as a community. Block clubs are important. People own block clubs are important. You know,
block club leaders.
No matter who the aldermen become, if they're not gonna bring the people in and bring them together, then you're failing. You're not going to be successful because a community is only good as its leadership. If you're not going to be a good leader, you're going to be in a poor community. It's just that simple.
So I got to lean into that. How do you bring people together that don't want to be brought together?
Well,
they say back in the day.
But it's that old thing. You got to keep going, and you weigh them down. One day they get up, something happens, a situation happens with them, and say, oh, by the way, DeAndre said, or Angelica said, or Steve said, somebody said, I remember they said this, let me call them up. And you can't say, well, when I was trying to talk to you, you wouldn't listen. No, what's the problem? How did we get to it? And then they're going to go and tell the other person, you know, that's a good person because it didn't turn me away. Real simple. I mean, I take my snowblower and blow the snow away on my block on the side of the street I live on because someone else do it on the other side of the street because I got a lot of people on my block that's single, you know, who husband has passed or wife has passed and they've got nothing, they can't do it for themselves. So I do the best I can do because I have to go and do other things at other places, but I try to make sure at least they got a way in and out. And number one, for our postmen, our postal people. That's very important. We need to start a posted campaign. Me, I'm posted. I'm watching out. I'm looking out. If you notice in our community, you see FedEx, you see UPS, they have security following them in their truck. Our postal workers are out there doing our service and they're taking a risk. They get stuck up, they get robbed. Young lady, they've been looking for the last couple of years. But here's the thing. We have to protect our community. Let me tell you, I got the word that the man on the white horse been ambushed. We got to do it ourselves, y'all. We must do it ourselves.
Well, they run around saying the British is coming.
Right.
Got to go out there with your lantern.
Can I also say technology, not just cameras, but drones, you know, other things in which they were talking about. I can say for block club leaders, just speaking as a block club, you know, president, there are things that, you know, the city could do that I wish, you know, speaking to you as our, you know, our next alderman, you know, it is important for you to be visible outside in the community.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's hard for you to do that when you don't have a place actually to be outside in the community with or for. So, you know, for instance, you know, having a community garden, having, you know, a place in which people can commune, come together, you know, fellowship. And so something to keep in mind for aldermen out there, people in the city, you know, selling lots for, you know, thousands of dollars sometimes, you know, this new shy block. No, shy block in the Shad. It's my shy block, something like that. It's this new program where they're doing these empty lots and they're selling it, you know, just depending on the area you are, how much it is. And so there's a lot by me. Anyway, I've been trying to get this lot for like 4 years. So it's just a place in which people could come and actually congregate together. We all have to like put in the work in order to make it easy for a block club president. Because just to walk up and down the street is just not, you know, to me, eventful. That's not really doing it right. So anyway, there are things that the city could do. There are things that the alderman could do. There are things CPD could do. There are things that we as community members could do. My block club, just like yours, has a lot of seniors who have done this for 30 years. And when I first started, they were like, you come as a whippersnapper, you think you're gonna do something, you're gonna do the same. And they're like, good luck, I'm not helping with that. So
I held my 11th district meeting, and right after the lady called me and came to me out for 45 minutes. I'm telling you, this is racism. The reason why the West Side look like this, the 11th district is a training ground. You know it. It ain't been changed in 60 years. Oh, yeah,
but who's doing anything about that? So with all of those, you know, different, you know, people actually voicing their opinion, what are we doing with that information? Like, are you listening for 45 minutes and be like, okay, great, thank you. But nothing actually gets done. Hopefully with the district council, those are some of the complaints that we could actually listen to and hopefully be able to, you know, escalate that and see some change. Because if that is something that is the root cause of some of what we're seeing in the 11th district, why not change it, move that around?
Politically, the Austin community and the Galewood community, we got the richest political field it is. We got so many of them live right in our community. You know, live right in our community. And what has to happen is we have to remove ourselves out the way and try to connect and have a partnership to understand that we all got an interest. Because remember, politics is always about interest. There's no permanent enemies, no permanent friends. It's always about permanent interests. How do we make things work?
Unless you cut somebody's mom out.
Well, you know, sometimes you have to teach people how to talk to people.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes they just don't know. You know, everybody have to count and mean something. And I've been fortunate enough to work in the field that I work in with the campaign for Drug-Free West Side for so many years to learn how to see the invisible people. When somebody sees someone who's less fortunate, don't have a lot, I see him as a person who fell upon hard times and just need a lift up. I see a person who was a person who may have made a wrong turn in life and just need to get some direction. And that's what I've been doing all these years. Most people say, I don't want to be bothered with them. You know, they look at their hygiene or whatever, but you know, it was not always like that.
Right.
Somebody have to have the courage to invite them in, clean them up, dust them off, and then send them to get the proper service that they need, because I can't give them everything they need. But I can make the referral. I can do the assessment, and that's what our community need, a community assessment, because right now we are in pain. You can see it. People walk down the street with a scowl on their face, look like they got their fist balled up. They waiting on you to say something. Hey, how you doing? What you say? But we have to bring that and turn that around, because it can be done. It can be done. We have great legislators live in our community who's willing to work. And I know some of them.
Everything is based on relationships.
Absolutely.
When we were talking about, you're under Empire. When you've been that long, you can't tell me you've been on the block that long that no one new came in, that you caressed, brought them in the fold and said, hey, you need to know me, I need to know you. How can we do some things better on this block? Because I'm saying, if you let people come on your block, move in your block after 1 year, and you ain't exchange phone numbers, something wrong with that person that just moved in. Because they don't want to know who you are. They don't want to know who you are because they're doing something. And I'm going to tell you.
Let me just say this. I am an introvert, and I have never known my neighbors until I came to Chicago. So it's not, I have nothing going on. I just do not prefer to know my neighbors. I didn't. So, you know, when I first came here, I went to, you know, Ukrainian Village. And then when I decided to purchase my home, I purchased it in Humboldt Park. And I did not knock on a single door until people showed up on, when people disturbed my peace, I knocked on every door that there was. So I'm just saying that, you know, sometimes there are other reasons. If someone knocks on my door, I'm going to get to know them. But Anyway, I'm just.
You know,
Yeah.
but that's what I just said. Interest. You had an interest.
Yeah, interest, yeah.
So
Yeah.
interest was being challenged.
Yeah.
So you had to protect your interest.
I was protecting my son, single parent, a small son. This was like, and they were right in front of my door, and okay, so you were like, yeah.
Now, the only reason I'm saying this, I've been living here for 30 years this year. It's been white people come, white people go. That's all I've seen in 30 years. White people come, white people go. I got 2 young white families on the side of me. That's better than me. They were like, Steve, we were looking for you with this and that. I'm like, yeah, no. Give me your number. Okay, I said, that's all good. Your kid might go, you might run somewhere, you might need me to watch the house while you kid there, whatever, But you gotta build relationships. Ain't no reason for nobody to live next door to you, up the street, on your block, and you don't know who they are. And I'm gonna tell you what, many years ago, and they see this thing right here on Menard, the street was so raggedy that we went out and passed the street ourselves. We call it press.
I remember that. Yeah.
We got all cities, up down, 1300, we got the kids, got a cold, some cold tire, and a roller, and got the media out there. Guess what? The superintendents of street sand showed up on the news and said, "Oh, don't do that. We were coming to do this. We were coming 6 to 8 months." They ended up coming the next week. They stripped it off and they turned it into a one-way. Now, what happened was, this is in '92, and I worked at a company where one of the guys that he had a business inside. He was living in Libertyville. No. What's it called? Lake Forest. And he saw me on the news. He said, "Steve, I saw you on the news with all these people. You on them?" I'm like, most of them I do. I don't know the kids and stuff. But he said, "Man, I live in Lake Forest. You know my neighbors." I'm like, everybody's suburbs moving in there. I'm just a favorite person. We might know what they do. Don't know them. And I was a strange thing.
When you got a house that big, you got to go to work every day, so you get a chance to meet. I like it. I like keeping it simple. I like to know the people I'm around, interact with the people that I'm around, get to know the people. I've been in this community for many years. My family, we moved over here in November 1971, 45 North Austin. And I had 8 brothers and 3 sisters, and we come from a big family. So we invested in this community. I love this community. I could have lived in Oak Park. I own property in Oak Park. I own property in Berwyn. I own property in other states, but I choose to live here. This is where I was raised. And I refuse to run a non-for-profit agency and live outside the community. And tell everybody what's wrong and what needs to be fixed and go home and not deal with it. I see the same people in the grocery store that everybody else see. I see the same people walking up and down the street that everybody else see. That's what community is about when you've been here and you get to know people. You don't come in and stand on the sideline and suggest do this, do that, you should do this, you should do. What am I gonna do?
Hey, Kim, I see you with your hand up. You want to jump in?
I was just gonna say, knowing people in your community or your block, your neighbor, is way more important than people want to give credit for it. If something pops off, some of my family are in friends of other states. It's important to know who's next door. Just in case there may be a medical emergency. You can call your neighbor. But I mean, like I said, most of my friends and family are in other states. You can still love them to death, but when they're road, it's that neighbor.
I got a slogan. I got a slogan where I say, know your neighbor, because one day your neighbor may need you. And then vice versa. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what they told me when I moved from Houston here. They told me a story about a man who had died. It had been 3 weeks before anyone even found his body.
Wow.
And they looked at me and said, at least it's going to be you if you don't get to know your neighbor. You know what I mean? So it was something that was like, oh, you know what I mean? But personality-wise aside, being, introvert or whatever, I have found it to be so rewarding to know my neighbors. I can say that, I got a Miss Washington that, my son even calls grandma, call her mother, you know what I mean? I have so many people on the block that we love, but I am almost grateful for the experience that I had because it pushed me outside of my comfort zone, and I do value, the fact of having neighbors. But sometimes,
the African principle of St. Copa, which is to look back to go forward, truly applies in regard to community building and where we need to go. We really, like in the past, prior to things like integration and drugs being introduced to the community and all the other things that befell the community, we had to work together. So we worked together, and that is one of the things that we absolutely have to get back to. And I think the energy is there. There are a lot of people, even, especially amongst the older generation that came from that, and they understand the necessity. And it's incumbent on us as younger folks to go and do that as well. And so,
all it takes is 5 people on the block.
You got 5 people on the block that's intertwined and have a relationship. That block can be solved.
I'm glad you said that because, last year in 2022, I spent 4 times in West Africa in about 6 months. I've been going back and forth to Africa, sometimes twice a year for the last 10 years straight. But a lot of times I have to go back and forth. However, what I love about them is community. They might be living in a I've seen them where they would have these nets they drop in the water in the fisherman village. And it might be from Austin to downtown to Michigan. And at a certain time, everybody in the community gets a part of that net and they pull it in. And the fishermen take the pride of the fish that they want out and they leave the rest for the community for the help.
Yeah, right.
And everybody eats. Everybody eats. They care about each other. I mean, they live in grass huts, but they happy. They smile and they greet you. And don't let nobody tell you that they don't want to be close to people here. They love us there. We have to go back and learn how community is. The one thing that happened, I got to come back through the door of no return. When they was loading trays on the ship, they called at the door of no return. I was able to go out and come back in and return home. And that raised my spirit, and that's why I've always loved my community. I've always made the sacrifices we need in our community. I never stepped up to say I need to be the one in charge. I always was quick to be in the back and say, what can I do to help? But I was always taught this. A lot of times, if you want to get it done right, sometimes you have to step up and do it yourself. You can't always put somebody else out there. You have to lead by example. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. I think that's a good segue into how did we get here? How did it, this will be your 3rd time running for public office. And what is the issue that led you to having to be the individual?
Well, I can tell you this. The first time I ran for alderman is because I didn't like what was going on. I was very, very militant and I'm an activist and I'm trying to do all these things, change all these things. I was young. And I said, okay. And it was the changing of the guards because the guy that was sitting there, he was on his way out and it was an open seat pretty much. And so I was not just going to let somebody new come in and just take over our community without putting up a fight, letting them know that we are here. And so I ran and I lost, but I learned. See, it's not a loss when you learn. I learned. So the second time I ran and we put up a good campaign, but that was a year it was really cold and we had a lot of snow and people ain't walking. Y'all lucky. It's been nice and but when the time comes, because everything has a season. Yeah. And when the season comes, there's nothing you can do. You just got to answer the call. You got to answer the call. I didn't get up and decide this is what I want to do. People call me, and when they ask me, I sat and said, hey, look, I'm, going to think about it. Usually I'll be the worst person. Yeah, I do it. Like this time. I said, look, I'm on my way out of town. I'm gonna be gone for a week. I'm gonna pray on it. I'm gonna talk to my family about it. And the 2 times before, that was the difference. I didn't talk to nobody. Talk to myself. Said, I'm gonna do it, and I really did it. You know, however, this time I did it the way it was supposed to have been done. And when I stepped out and I did that, and I come back and I talked to the people who had been asking me for about 4 months, would I do it? Would I do it? I didn't say no. I didn't say yeah. I said I would think about it. And I had to see some things. I went out and I took a parts of the community. I listened to them. And what they said was they wanted a change. And it was going to be a change whether it was me or someone else. But they was going to get a change. But I said if it's going to be changed, I would like to be a part of so I could steer to one of you young people to give the opportunity, because let me tell you something about this business. I've been doing social work for the last 30 years. Steve, you've been doing it too. It's a thankless job. You ain't gonna get no praises, ain't no marching band gonna meet you at the door of your office. But my mentor told me this, Ernie Jenkins from Westside Association of Community Action, years ago, when I got selected to head up this agency, I said, hey, Ernie, can you give me some advice? I'm young, I'm getting ready to go. I was a young man. For to be the CEO of an agency? He said, Pally, let me tell you, old time. He said, the day you go to your office, wondering, what can the people do for you? Keep the doors locked and keep on. He said, I always wonder, what can I do for my people? And the people will take care of you.
That's love. And Barry, I saw you come off mute up there. You want to say something, or you were just eating your beans?
Beans. No, it's it takes time, you know. As CB said, Miss Span was literally my mentor in so many ways. She would always have me with her. I think I was the youngest vice president of the organization ever.
She picked a lot of us young. I was 27 when I took up the drugs.
I was 26. Yep. And I, you know, she would always tell people, they were like, well, who's the young guy? You know, that's gonna be my next president. I'm like, oh, I got a family, school, church, job. I'm like, you know, I'm on the board, right? But it was, you know, she had the vision. She knew things were changing. Yes. And then when she became ill, I stepped up, I took over, and it was, you know, it was a transition that had been going on for over 15 plus years.
She had the ability to see what we couldn't see in ourselves, Steve, because she made sure that my agency, you know, because we're small, we didn't have a whole lot of money, but she always, every time they got a big grant, she always wrote us in to keep us around, you know, so we didn't give up. You know, the guy who worked for us, he was much older than me. I was the CEO, he was executive director, and he taught me so much because I was willing to learn. See, a lot of times people ain't willing to learn. I can remember people coming to the door, they knock on the door, and he on the phone, I answer the door, and he come out, he's standing in the way, and he had a big presence because he was a big guy, Jonathan McClure. And I opened the door, they walked past me and walked to him. Because he was the older guy, and he looked, Seaside Lake had a smiling face. You didn't talk to him, he's the boss. And I'm sitting there looking like, oh, okay. And they would walk around, then they would come back, and I would introduce myself, and we would conduct business. But people would judge based on the fact that he was the older and he was the boss. But he taught me so much, you know, and you know, the one thing he taught me was, don't quit, don't give up, always stay focused and stay looking toward the people.
I wanted to bring back something that you said earlier and tie it back to police district council, sorry you all. But when we talk about assessing people, situations, things of that nature, for the young gentleman that asked earlier about how the community responds to police respond, I think part of what we should have as our base for CPD is like a training, you know, so that they'll know there's a lot of trauma that has been, you know, on the community. There's a lot of times that we don't respond the way that we should. When I first moved in the community, everything was hunky-dory, there was no problems. And then when people showed up selling drugs on my block, there was an issue. And so there was a different Elise that you got. I was, running around, like a chicken with her head cut off, because what I was trying to do is protect my son, and our property. But then, that's what we do. But so there should be something, I think, for all of us, not just for police, to have that constant training of when to really know when someone's going through a mental crisis, or when, there's some trauma there, or when they're just flat out a butthole. You know what I mean? Like, there should be some ongoing training of that. But then also for us, a lesson for me is, what if you would have been thrown away just initially because you were young and just, zealous, but yet didn't have that knowledge base, and people just kind of gave up on you. But here you are now, ready to actually lead the community. What would have happened if we would have just thrown you away initially? So for all of us, when you see that there is potential in people, as long as their heart is in the right place, they have good, core values. Some things can be taught. Other things, if the core, they're only thinking about themselves, maybe move on to the next person. But anyway, invest in people is what I'm saying. Invest, take a chance and invest in people.
That's the best investment you can make, because it don't only help them, it helps you, it helps your community, because most things are based on promotion. I see you looking good, I want to know how I can look good too. And I'm gonna watch, and then I'm gonna get the courage to come and ask you. But if you're not willing to share, then it's all lost. I think I got the last copy of one of the last strategic plans that was done for this community. We used to do things like that. We would bring in outside facilitators, and we would go on a retreat for 4 or 5 days, and we would be community, and we would have these breakout sessions, and people would go where their biggest issue was in the community. And that's what we would come together, and then they will put it back together, and they'll lay it out based on what's the most urgent for us to attack, And I've been talking about that, but it's going to take not just an alderman, but it's going to take having a relationship with your congressman, having a relationship with your legislator, having a relationship with your state senator, because they have resources that the city don't have. But you got to be willing to work with them. You got to be humble enough to go and sit down and talk to them about how do we get this done. And you can't, some days they have bad days like everybody else. You got to be willing to go to Washington. You got to be willing to go to Springfield. But you can't, when I say you, that means us as a community, because the alderman can't be everywhere, but he got to be willing to go somewhere. And that's the problem we face with, because I hear the same things all the time. But like I told them yesterday, I'm not going to bash that brother, because he's a black man like me. And I got to learn to love him and let him know that it's not about him, it's about the job.
Right.
Because when you work for a company and they find somebody better than you, they're gonna move you to the side and put somebody else there, because they want what? Production.
Right.
People want production. And I'm asking to give me a chance to give you that production, and I guarantee you I won't disappoint you. Because I'm the type of guy, I was a child who watched Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad Ali was the greatest, not because he said he was.
Right.
No, because his ability to finish. When he saw he had you where he wanted you, he went for the attack. He didn't let up until you was out. And I understand that. I understand that this community needs somebody that's gonna fight.
Right.
And not fight by themselves. I mean, if you got all these people that are block club presidents, and they got these people behind them, you say, come on, y'all, let's march on down on City Hall.
Right.
I remember one time we marched on Sam Brown House. We was in the meeting, and he walked down on us. Yeah, he walked out on us. Didn't want to hear what we had to say. When he got home, we was at his house. He said, man, I know y'all came to my house, man.
That's how it goes, dog.
We saying you didn't listen.
You're a public official, your address.
Right.
Let me get Barry in here.
But it was not personal.
Yeah.
It was not personal.
What's up, Barry?
Hey, everyone.
Hey, how you doing?
Hang in there.
As long as you ain't hanging by your neck, you're fine.
One is listener, that I heard tonight, and just want to share a perspective about the context that you might want to consider long term, which is it's called the story of Cooper, and it is a new narrative for the west side of Chicago, and the essence of it is people help each other, have a thriving community, and have self-governing councils that make decisions. And the idea of it is that we don't have to all get on the same page, but if you need my help, and I can help you, and the two of us work together, that's the agreement. So I think all of that is relevant to the police and safety issue, because it seems to me that safety issue is a whole community approach.
Yeah, it is.
But that's what Pittsburgh is about.
Safety.
It's the whole community. If there's crime, it's all of their crime. Not just the police.
I want to bring up strategies. Okay, you finished there? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you for your.
All right. I want to bring up strategies because no one really touched base with neighborhood policing initiatives. I mean, it's in multiple districts now, although I think 11th district, they didn't get the right training. I don't think they got the right scope of what it's supposed to be like. But it started right here in Northwest Austin Council, right downstairs in 2018. We launched the whole project. And I want to say it's starting to build the momentum that it should have been in the beginning, but it's taken so much time.
Yeah.
We have ambassadors that have been tried and tested and still hanging in there.
Man.
And we still got the same, it took us a while to keep the same police, right? Because we would swap the police out the first 6 months every go around. But now the neighborhood policing initiatives with the DCOs, which are the district coordinating officers, in conjunction with the ambassadors, are starting to build that initiative. Now, let me just say this. Our current alderman lackluster about the whole program. I've gone to me and DeAndre were the chairs of the program when it started. We went to the man, we trying to let him be involved. He ain't trying to hear none of that. And it's like, how do you not embrace this program, especially now that you are the current public safety committee person? And I'm going, these now the officers go down there too. And they're telling me the same thing. They're like, well, Steve, can you talk to him? Because I'm like, wait a minute. He's a former policeman. You're a policeman. And he's not trying to hear the whole scope of what's going on and how he can integrate the office. For over 2 years, we were trying to get a camera. Wow. The police told me, they were like, Steve, talk to him because he ain't listening to us. He ain't moving on it. And then he made the commitment and promise, well, I'm going to have it at the end of the year. So people laid off of him for the next 7 months.
Exactly what they wanted.
Guess what? It didn't happen. It didn't happen for another year. And it's like, come on, man, just if you going, let's make it happen. But it didn't just not only disappoint the community, it disappointed the law enforcement agents because they were looking for this to do their job better.
So let me say this. So our program, the MPI, the Chicago Neighborhood Policing Initiative, the unfortunate is that NYU leads this. I'm employed through NYU, New York University, and this is the last year of our program in its existence as a backed program by NYU. And what that means is we're going to lose the individuals that put the most fight up for this program, to be completely honest. And that's because our program never fully was never fully embraced by our superintendent nor our mayor. Now they touted it because numbers suggested that it improved call volume and it was building relationships and engagement between Chicago police and community. And so they spread the program itself to 10 police districts. And they're in fact looking to launch it even further throughout the entirety of the city. And that may even happen within the next year or two. But because this is Chicago, one of the things that we, especially with our program, is trying to make clear is that our program was a philosophy. It was a policing philosophy that if you could get police off radio and in community, similar to what Officer Friendly used to be, but also working alongside community ambassadors that know the lay of the land so they can become better equipped to deal with the culture and the climate of the community, then they could be more effective problem solvers because they can also have resources from the community that could help with the issues that they experience long term. Well, the community members experience long term. And so our hope is that as the policing project NYU pulls back, the philosophy doesn't change and it becomes more sustained. But because again, it's just Chicago and leadership is probably gonna change. You know, one of the two gonna be gone, or maybe both. We're gonna get some change somewhere. You know, and so the unfortunate is that it took us a long time to get this program to a position where it could be very, very successful. And we don't want to see it go, but I mean, we don't know.
Community policing. When they started out community policing, it was total concept. When we was at the table all them months and weeks and years to get it going, and they brought that group in cans after they used all our small agencies to make this grant, and then they wanted to start doing things from the top down.
Right.
You have to do it from the bottom up.
Right.
Foundations have to be established, so if some fall, you can put it back on.
Right.
But when you try to do it from the top down, it's gonna implode. It's gonna just, blow up. I mean, that's what happened, and that's what happened. Community policing could have worked because they was talking about the police walking down the block, knowing all your neighbors, speaking to everybody, sitting on the porch, talking to Miss Jones, Mr. Robinson. They talked about that, and that was the philosophy that they sold us on. But when the money came, they went the other way because they saw that was money that they can use in their budget and do what Deandre just said, get their numbers up. Yeah. Because them rooms was packed. Every time it was a CAPS meeting, the rooms were packed. But then people started seeing what was really going on, that it was just a sideshow.
Right.
Yeah.
And then people started walking away.
And when they took the big top tent right to the stations, people stayed away. Right. Because people didn't want to go to the police station and air their situation. They felt, threatened. We in the police station. We talking about when it was at the church, like at St. Angela's down the street. When it was at the local whatever hall or whatever. Right. People were more at ease to come in and then discuss their situations. And the person that you're talking about is right there in the meeting.
They had on neutral ground.
But you know one thing about it? Miss Spann had said when it first started, she said, Steve, I don't know if I should look at this as a slap in the face or a badge of honor. She said, because they copied our strategy. They started doing our SOS, smoke out the cellars, and doing the roll calls. And she was like, Irma Ford came up with that back in '88. And then we were like, she's like, but I guess we look at it as flattery. She said, but one thing we will not do as an agency, we will not take on the responsibility of getting totally involved with CAPS. Because if we get involved and they go south, we go south with it. Right. So she said, but what I will do, we will send an organizer every month to the CAPS meeting just to see what's going on. And CAPS been crap, right after the first 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
It's been crap almost 25 years.
So you said they're keeping y'all program, the same strategies, but they're getting rid of the people? I'm trying to understand it.
Well, number one, nothing should last in perpetuity. It's been 5 years that the policing project, NYU financed our project.
Okay.
So it's just coming to an end. That's all.
And what they want is the community and the police relationship to go like this without somebody holding these two hands in the middle. That's all they want.
Yeah.
So,
Let's see.
okay.
We should have cultivated that already.
Yeah, that should have been happening right out the gate.
But we lost 2 years though.
Okay, with COVID.
COVID,
Well,
yeah.
They should have added those on and figured that
On the
in
back end,
because you know you take for instance.
Well, you know, we talking about funders here.
Yeah. But here's the thing. They put out so much money during the COVID time, somebody could have dropped money because that was a life safety thing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we have to look at. Life safety issues are important. And them are the things we have to always hold to. We have to build in our community so that and when you're doing that, believe me when I tell you, people come looking for you to give you money to do things. When you're ready and you're ready to take care of business, people come looking for you. But you gotta have your stuff in order because they also will set you up and say, we told you they couldn't do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you have to be ready for that kind of stuff too.
Oh yeah.
Put some roadblocks in front of you.
Yeah, for sure.
You'll never have a roadblock as long as you have block clubs.
Right.
Because block clubs are the backbone. They're the structure that breathes out into the community, into the neighborhood, to the city. If you get that little portion together, trust me. You know why Northwest Austin Council started 51 years ago? It was 51 years ago? Because white people wanted the same things that we want. They wanted safer communities. They wanted good housing stock, and they wanted great educational institutions.
Remember they wouldn't sell to us. Remember when our families first moved?
Right.
They wouldn't sell to us.
Right. NAC was doing red line testing back then.
Yeah.
They would take I got the slide. You know the old. I don't know if you remember the old slide things where they used to go around.
Oh, yeah.
We got slides from like 71, 72, 73. But they would send in a black couple to a house that was being sold in the area, and they get right down the response. They send a mixed couple in, see what the response is. They send a white couple in, they see.
They still do that today.
Right. I mean,
Still do that today.
red line is real. I mean, my mother actually wanted to move in Oak Park, but because she had a lot of children, they didn't want her to move in Oak Park. So we was able to get to Austin. We got as close as we can get.
They got right at the doorstep.
We was on the borderline. I tell this story about it was 3 years living on Austin before I ate a dry cheeseburger coming out of McDonald's up there on Taylor because they used to chase us home all the time, right from up there. Chase us home, and that was a time when they put your sandwich and your drink in the bag at the same time. So you don't want to lose your sandwich and your drink. You just hustle that little money, you know. But I say that to say this, you know, there's a lot of work to be done, but we can do it. I mean, it's not a task that we can't do because there's a lot of people want the same thing, and we have to teach the people who don't understand because it all comes down to dollars and cents.
Yeah.
When you see property, that's your piggy bank.
Right.
When you paying your mortgage and you fixing up your place, that's so when you retire, you got something to go on. Because let me tell you something, we have to be the most blessed, one of the most blessed countries on this planet. I'm gonna tell you why. Because in other countries, they don't have social welfare. I've had the chance to, right after the earthquake, I had the chance to go to Haiti. I've been in other countries. I've been in Ghana. I've been in different places over there, different other little countries there. I've had the chance to travel and see. And I didn't go. Matter of fact, the first time I went, they was taking us on this tour, and I told one of the guys, I said, look, man, this is good for everybody else, but I want to see the real Africa.
Right.
You know, so I slipped away from the group. Now, maybe I was but I'm a guy that grew up on the west side.
Right.
I can function anyway. You know, you put me in the middle of the jungle. I'm going to figure out somebody to hook up with.
Right.
You know, so, I mean, and that's what we did, you know, and from then I fell in love. I had a love affair with Africa. You know, sitting there and people coming up talking to me in tree, and I'm sitting there looking at them nodding my head like I knew what they were saying, and they kept talking. Just nodding my head, and they walked away like smiling. I don't know what they was calling me a name, but it was like he got it.
Can you bring us back some jewelry next time? You know, we like the African prints. These Roman, they got the outfit on them.
I got
the
you.
print. Okay.
I got you.
Yeah. No, it's we have to. That's been one of the things I've always wanted to do, was have a goal to take young Black kids to see different things. You know,
That
well,
would change so many lives.
we talked about what you do, and I was talking about it in this because I got a friend that lives in Colorado Springs. I took my kids out there, actually my son out there about 17 years ago, and we camped out and then went up into what they call the Collegiate Mountains, Mount Yale, Mount Princeton, and whatever. And he said, man, if you ever want to bring some kids here, man, just bring them out here. We can go take them camping and hiking and mountain biking. I'm like, man, that's a big undertaking because you got to have the permission slip, you got to have the funds, you got to, But it's something that if you can show people something different, it'll change their lives, and maybe they can change others' lives.
Well, I mean, as a kid, I would camp for 1 week, and it changed my life because I never had left the community and went to Michigan to camp and got to know other folks and how other people live. It made me start aspiring to do different things, and wanting to do different things. Although I got in trouble while I was at camp because I wasn't used to being away from home.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, I was always getting disciplined.
Yes, sir.
No, but it's true. I took my kids, well, common ground, like as a single parent, you got to make sure that you got to go through all type of measures to make sure your kids are safe, but yet they have the exposure and that their surroundings are the only thing. So different programs allowed my kids to go like travel everywhere and different camps and go to every college every year. So they was involved in every one. But just to think, if we could take all the kids that's still in cars, the 11-year-olds and that's robbing, and just take them over there to Africa, they'll come back with a whole new mindset. I don't even think they would want to pick up a car. They'll be so embracing their ancestors and their heritage. If they know where they came from and they just got to go there and touch that dirt, they'll never want to steal another car.
In this community, at 11 years old, we used to come through Devil's Path and Columbus Park. Officer Leroy Irvin, Alderman Jason Irvin's father, used to run a sports program. Mm-hmm. We played Little League, Liberty League, up to Connie Mack baseball right there in the park. We would have big banquets over at the place on Chicago, Chateau Royale, and that made you feel good. Put on a suit and tie. You wasn't going to church. You was able to go and see your friends, and you was getting little trophies. I mean, all that meant something. We had programs here. You had programs in the gym. Now people scared to go in the gym because they can't afford to. We have to get back to the basics of our children. Have a lot of energy. They have a lot of energy. We have to get it. We used to play ball up at Emmett. We used to play ball up at Emmett. We used to right there at Emmett playing softball. Mm-hmm. I used to know how to ice skate when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. I used to know how to ice skate when I was a kid, but now
those ice skating.
But here's the thing, now there's so much crime and the kids are going that way because there's nothing else for them to do. Them programs are on tone. Yeah. It costs to go in the park now. Even though we are already paying for it, I will fight for programs so that we can get the kids out of the street into programs like that so they can get the mentorship that they need. I come out of a single parent home. And my mother taught us one thing, that working builds character. If we got in trouble, you know that parking lot on the side of the house my mother had across from St. Catherine? Yeah, that alley, church. You know that alley go all the way down the side? Mm-hmm. If you got in trouble, you had to sweep that whole alley, both sides of it. And if you really got in trouble, you had to go, if you really got in trouble, you had to go the other way, make the turn and go down the Madison. Oh, wow. You know, but that's what we had to do to deter the crime, the violence and the stuff that we was getting into because it was starting to change in this community. You know, that's why I keep saying to everybody, I know this is a beautiful community. Right. I know the potential of this community. I know the housing stock, but crime kills all that.
Man, CB, tell them we used to have 2 skating rinks.
Yeah.
We had two bowling alleys because Top Flight had the bowling alley I think the bowling alley was upstairs and skate rinks right on Central and Madison.
Right.
We had the Grand on what was that, Monroe and was that Adams and Laramie?
Yeah, we had the show right there.
We had the State Theater.
Yeah, State Theater. I mean, come on. We had
and it was a decent theater. It was better than the Alex, I'll tell you that.
All them things left the community and they didn't bring anything back. So what else do our kids have to do is crime?
Yeah.
And it ain't like that's what they want to do. But if we always talking about crime, but what are we doing different? What are we doing to alter it? What kind of skill set? Because every kid is not going to be a scholar. They're not going to go to school and get top grade. So what kind of alternative programs we got to teach them to channel that energy into something else? But there are small agencies.
Yeah.
There's community groups, block clubs that can alter that by coming together and talking about solution. We can talk about the problem until time gets better. Yeah. But it ain't gonna change the outcome of what we're dealing with until we take some action by coming and putting together a strategic plan on the different things that it makes to resolve some of these issues.
Execute the plan.
Yeah. I remember CB, real quick, me and CB had this conversation. I told him, I said, man, CB, we come from the same area in Austin. And I said, we went to the same grammar school. I said, man, I got my master's degree, and I said, it was hard doing it. But when I reflect back on it, it wasn't that hard. And he said, but Steve, I said, man, anybody could do it. Anybody. He said, but Steve, the difference is you had somebody putting me in your back. You had somebody got. And I said, yeah, you're right. There was somebody that was giving me that,
It was a time they had, where Circle Elementary is before, once it stopped being St. Catherine's, St. Lucy's all-girls school, then the Chicago Public Schools, they leased that property and they called it Austin Branch. Yep. And they filtered all the small schools, the feeder schools, into there, and you spent your first year of high school there, and then you was able to branch out and go. And what that did was it formed relationships so everybody knew each other, so you wasn't afraid of each other, so you didn't have to get in fights, pull guns. We was too busy trying to step, because that was the thing back then. We wasn't trying to fight one another. But right now, a kid put a gun in your face to take your car. What about teaching them how to work so you can buy one? Right. And that's what we do in communities when you got leadership that's talking about these kind of things, working with a group to help put together these kind of things, talking to our other legislators. We all should be in partnership with this. Absolutely. Because they dealing with it too. The crime is on every block.
Yeah. So we right up at the 8 o'clock hour. I think all of us off tomorrow, but I don't want to keep everybody on. Yeah, it is. It is MLK Day of Service.
We was at a event this past Saturday, and a resident was talking about on the 5200 on Congress, where there's a building there, and there was a lot of garbage and stuff because they don't have an alley over there. So the dumpsters are up against the wall. So people, rather than coming downstairs, they drop the garbage out the window, and if it hit the ground, they don't pick it up. So we planned to go over there tomorrow because there's some seniors who live next door to there who really keeps their property up, and they just sick and tired of being sick and tired of this. Yeah. So we gonna go over there and clean it up and start cleaning it up. 10 o'clock tomorrow. We're going to be cleaning it up until they get the notion, like when you guys are filling the potholes, they see that this is what needs to be done. It ain't about being an order. It's about getting rid of the unsafe area for them people, because all them kind of germs and rats and rodents. But that's on Congress Parkway? Right there off the corner. Yeah, I seen those garbage cans. I would ride past it. I tell my wife, I say, I'm so sick of looking at it, because guess what? The garbage place that moved the garbage ain't 2 blocks away. Really? Yeah, it's on Harrison. Come on. But we have to do something, and that's what we're going to do for service.
All right, bet. All right, y'all. So y'all know we do this thing every Sunday from 6 to 8 p.m. We have various ways of interacting with the show. We got the Facebook, the YouTube, and the Zoom. You always choose your preferred style of interaction. Y'all know how we like to do. When we wrapping it up, we like to go around the room, get some final thoughts from everybody. So we're gonna start with the Zoom. I see you off mute right now, Tiny. So let me kick it off with you. How you feeling?
I'm feeling just great, and as usual, I just want to say it's great to be around like-minded people. And I would like to remind everybody that February 26, 2023, we're going to recognize our race. Now, tomorrow, there are a lot of programs going on where they talk about Dr. King and what he did. And if any of those programs we happen to be at, remember
And by the way, who was Al Raby to you, Tiny?
He was my mentor.
That's
he
what's
taught
up.
me about helping people and trying to change things. And if I'm doing anything good, he got to get a lot of credit for it.
Yeah.
Yes, Barry.
You're corn.
Yeah. Hey guys, I want to mention a couple things briefly. One is if you're interested in the story of Pittsburgh that I mentioned earlier, we have the Time Exchanges Coalition meeting this coming Friday morning on Zoom, 10 a.m. to noon. And you can find details on the Pittsburgh calendar. And also Sunday, 2 days later, on the 22nd at 4 p.m., we're going to have our first meeting of Connect for 10. And the essence of it is people coming together for 10 minutes to be in each other's presence, to support each other. So I hope you all will consider joining us.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you all.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
Right.
All right,
Get
Barry.
yourself healthy, Barry.
Claiborne.
Thank you, Steve.
Claiborne. Oh, I see you.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Councilman Ruder, Steve. And I say Councilman because if it's something that you want and you run it for, you have to claim it.
That's a fact.
I do believe that having these conversations, these engaging conversations, are good because it's a good way to get through to our young people. And I think that when we have our young people involved and engaged in the political process, it helps them to be willing and wanting and chasing the political dream and showing that there is a seat at the table for them. And with, DeAndre, Steve, you all have these conversations every week. I think you do a good job at it, and it's a good start. Let's keep up the good work. Appreciate you guys.
Nah, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Jacobs.
Where you at, Miss Jane?
Ms. Jacobs, you there? Kim?
Yes, sir.
Final thoughts? What's up?
Final thoughts. Everyone have a safe and productive week. Make sure you take time for self-care and also celebrate the small victories.
Yeah, say that. Like that. Appreciate that. Raheem, what's up, brother? Dr. Young, sorry.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
What's happening, Raheem?
Again, great show. Like always, you all put on a great show every weekend. I don't really have too much to say, man. Well, I do.
Yeah, talk about this.
If you're not doing anything this coming Saturday, come check us out. It's Welcome to Fatherhood's third men's conference. So, and also DeAndre is gonna get Father of the Year award. So come check it out. This Saturday we're gonna be at Northwest Austin Council from 3 to 5.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you. Oh yeah, thanks, Raheem. I appreciate y'all nominating me for that.
No problem, man.
Yes, sir. Ms. Jacobs, I'm gonna try you again. Okay. Tamika. Yeah, for real.
Hello, everybody. How y'all doing?
Hey, Tamika.
So every week we get on here and we talk about how we should come together as a community to make changes. But we do the talk, but the actions start to be missing. So I have a new definition of what I call a pipe dream. It's just my definition. And it's like we have the dreams to make it happen, but we don't put the actions together with it to actually get it done. But part of the reason why is we don't know how. We don't know what we should be doing to get it done. So I just hope as a community that we can get together and figure out what actions that we need to take to do it. So that's all I got to say.
You're right.
Thanks for calling us out.
But there's a lot of behind the scenes. There's a lot of behind the scenes things that are going, little things that are building up to momentum.
First of all, that woman is a part of my campaign, our campaign, because you know it's more than one person. And so she on the ground floor of police accountability. So I don't know what she's talking about.
She's talking about overall. She said overall. She just speaking.
All right. I'm just saying. I'm calling out too, though.
I'm not calling out names or pointing fingers. I'm just saying as a whole.
Okay. All right.
What can we do to make these changes? You know, this is a start. Of course, police accountability. They've had some sort of police accountability in place for a long time, but the wheels wasn't turning the way we should expected it. And to speak up for what we were talking about earlier about why do we have a different definition of what police accountability looks like for our community, we could not trust them. We call the police for something that we need, and it takes a whole different turn than if it was someone else who wasn't facing different types of, I guess I can call it systemic racism. So that's all I'm saying.
I got you. I hear you. All right, Steve.
Baby steps. Well, I want to thank everybody that came out today. I want to thank Elise Edwards. I want to thank Angelica Green. I want to thank candidate for 29th Ward automatic seat, CB Johnson, and anyone else.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm giving the candidates ISO screen. So let me ISO y'all.
It's time to go.
I mean, y'all still got to leave with something though. Y'all.
There you go.
I'm leading with serve, get out and serve, get out. Like we all been saying, what can I help you with? Let's help each other. Let's come together. Let's work together. Let's what the young lady just said on the call. Let's put these boots in these hands to action. Let's help each other. Let's organize. Let's form. Let's do it. It's time. It's time to put some action behind these words. King Day is the first day to start, and then not stop it. We gotta go keep going.
I'm going to say this. I get a little goofy when I'm sleepy, but listen. I am going to encourage everyone to not only get out and vote, but challenge yourself to take one person who normally would not vote, take them out to vote. If they're not registered, get them registered. This is a sacrifice on your part, but it really is a sacrifice for the greater good. That is what I'm parting with.
All right, let me set up CB with the ISO. So speak your speech, brother.
Well, I just like to say, you know, Dr. King once said, and this is the reason why we have to get out and fight and don't be afraid to step up and step out and see something, say something. He once said, any man who haven't found anything worth fighting for, worth dying for, ain't fit to live no how.
Don't forget tomorrow.
Tomorrow we're going to be having a service day. We're going to be working 5200 block on Congress Parkway, cleaning up a site over there where the garbage is missing the garbage can for some reason. I guess they don't have good aim when they drop it out their window. I'm not going to talk about that. However, we're going to clean it up. We're not going to blame who did it. We're just going to clean it up. Also tomorrow, we're going to have an open house at our second office that we have at 6144 North Avenue. We opened up our second office so that people can come in because we're getting so much support. We have to have other places for people to go. And it's going to be from 2 to 6. All is welcome. And that office there is for C.B. Johnson, for Alderman 29th Ward, Punt 52, and also Miss Angelica Green. She'll be sharing that office with us.
Oh, thank you. Punch 73.
I feel slighted.
And
dang, I just.
And also Otis Johnson will be working with us over at the office at 5730, second floor.
All right, y'all. So for me, I just want to say we have 44 days left to make a lot of decisions for this city. There will be a lot of turnover in a lot of ways because we have about 15 members of city council that'll be transitioning out, and there's going to be new people in those seats. There's going to be some seats lost. There's going to be some seats won. And there's going to be just, in general, a whole lot of new energy because there's going to be 66 new elected officials. We have a lot of decisions to make. Let's just make the right decisions. Similar to the young ladies, I'm also a candidate. I definitely promote myself, but I also say, let's just make sure we put the right people in the right place. We know what type of leadership we've had in the past. We know what we need. I hope we know what we need. And if we don't know what we need, we should get very familiar with the people that want to lead us because that's the only way we're going to get out of the position that we're in now. And we got a long way to go. It's going to be hard, but hey, starting tomorrow, we're going to go to work. That being said, listen, we got various ways we can interact with the show. We got the Facebook, the YouTube, the Zoom. Every Sunday we do this from 6 to 8 p.m.
Can I ask you a question, DeAndre? Because I want to vote for you. What's your punch number?
I'm 73. 70. I am 71.
Okay, I just wanted to know. You gave a good speech. I wanted to know what
71.
I know math 70.
Look,
you stopped at 70.
They're 73, 52, 71. All right, y'all. So listen, in closing, I'd like to say thank y'all for allowing us to welcome. Bro, hold on now. No, listen, hold on. Let me start over. I say, as I like to say in closing, we always have open seats at the table. All we trying to do is welcome y'all along home. Thank y'all for allowing us to welcome you to Northwest Austin Council. Y'all have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
You're supposed to Jesus wept.